welcome back to my channel. Today it is all about Estetica's reds. Many of you know that I love red hair. I wear red more than any other color, and today I'm talking about all three of the Estetica reds. So this is a color spotlight. I will let you know what style I'm wearing, but we're really focusing today on the color, and if you're interested in knowing more about each style, check out the independent reviews. But today we're talking all about the reds and the color spotlight and how each one is different. This one here is the gorgeous golden ginger, and this is in the style orchid. We're going to also be talking about the beautiful Mandarin rooted, which is in the style mellow. And last but not least, the gorgeous copper sunset in the color Jones. So if you have been eyeing the Estetica reds, you want to stay tuned. And as always, please subscribe to my channel, hit that bell, give me a thumbs up, and let's get started with the reds. Start out today with the one that I just happen to have on my head, which is golden ginger. And a couple things that I really love about this color is the extended root. I absolutely love the golden brown roots. That's kind of a drag root. So it's a longer root than you're going to see, for example, on mellow. Mellow is in Mandarin rooted and it has a very short root. This one has a dragged longer root that kind of blends into the rest of it, which I just think is absolutely gorgeous. Now, you will also see some blonde in this color. You can see the blonde right there. So the color description for the absolutely beautiful golden ginger is that it has golden brown roots, which we've talked about, but they are longer. They're kind of a drag root. And it says it's a root melt. So it says it melts into a soft ginger base with fine blonde highlights. And as I said, there is some blonde. It is really a stunning color. Now this is a regular synthetic, and I would say it's a bit shiny for my taste. I would need to do my baby powder method, which I did do on mellow. So mellow's in Mandarin rooted, and I did the baby powder method on mellow, and you can see she's not nearly as shiny. So if you're interested in the baby powder method, be sure to check out my short on how to put baby powder on your synthetics. It works so much better than dry shampoo. So we're going to look at each one of these colors in different lighting because lighting really changes how a color looks. So right now I have natural lighting in front of an open window with no light bulb light. Next we're going to go into my bathroom, which is going to give me fluorescent light with no natural light. And last but not least, we're going to look at each color outside. And I will say today is a bit of a gloomy day, but even so, it's not raining. And you will notice outside that it looks different, even if it's gloomy and not particularly sunny. So again, this is natural light on golden ginger in front of a window with, you can really see the color well here, those blonde highlights blending into that ginger base and that melted dragged root. It's really, really pretty. Here's golden ginger in fluorescent light bulb light with no natural light. So you'll see that that shine of the synthetic, it's a little brassier when you're in that light bulb light. And you'll see that the color is just a little bit darker. It's still very gingery. I can still see the blonde. I still see the beautiful golden drag root. But in the fluorescent light, it is a little bit darker and a little bit brassier. Let's take a look at her out in natural light. So even though it is a bit of a gloomy day, you can still get a beautiful picture of color when you are in outdoor light. I just really love the drag root on this. Really gorgeous color. Okay, next we're going to move on to Mandarin rooted. Now I have on the adorable mellow and Mandarin rooted. I think the two colors that are the most similar out of the three would be the Mandarin rooted and the golden ginger. So when you put them next to each other, you notice that they both have a lot of that ginger, but you know, if they weren't right next to each other, you might think the only difference is that one has a longer root, but really they are different colors. The golden ginger, besides having a longer root, it has a similar golden brown root, but it's much longer. The other difference is really those blonde highlights. And this color, this base is a little bit more of a copper, but I do think they're definitely in the same family. So when we talk about Mandarin rooted, it has the golden brown roots, very similar to golden ginger, but it's a much shorter root. And it is an even blend of light auburn with strawberry blonde. That's how it's described. So evenly blended strawberry blonde and light auburn. Now, when I think of auburn, I think of brown. So I don't really think this is an auburn in my personal opinion. Auburn is really a brown with red undertones. I think this is more of a copper blended with strawberry blonde, because I'm a red expert. I'm gonna say, I think that would be a more accurate description, a copper base blended with strawberry blonde. And because it's an even blend, when I say that it's blended, it's evenly blended. So unlike golden ginger, you're not seeing those actual like pops of blonde in it like you do with golden ginger. You're seeing an even blend, which leads you to, I would say, a very copper. This to me is very copper. It is a coppery, orangish, strawberry coppery color, and it's beautiful. It's absolutely beautiful. But I don't think it has any auburn whatsoever in it, to keep it real with you. I think Copper Sunset is much more of an auburn blend. So let's take a look at Mandarin rooted in the different lighting like we did with Copper Ginger. Right now I'm in front of a natural light in front of a window with no artificial light. And now we're gonna head into the bathroom with that light bulb light. So light bulb fluorescent light, first of all, is the worst, the worst lighting for an aging complexion, but it also just changes color a bit. Even though this one has had the baby powder and it's not very shiny, in fluorescent light it looks shinier. That is just the name of the game, and it does look a little bit darker. It's always gonna look, any color is always gonna look darker in fluorescent light versus natural light. So this is Mandarin rooted in fluorescent light. All right, next we're going to look at Mandarin rooted, last but not least, in natural light. And I always start standing in front of my slider because I feel like the color is really, really good here. Then go outside. It's a very, to me, a very coppery, strawberry color. I don't feel it's auburn at all. Very pretty. And I love the root. Love the rooting. Really pretty color. Last but not least, we have Copper Sunset. And Copper Sunset is described as a warm chestnut brown base with vibrant copper highlights. And I would say that's pretty accurate. One thing I find interesting is that it is highlighted. It is not described as being rooted, but I feel like it definitely looks like it's rooted. That to me looks like it's rooted 100%. So it's not described as being rooted. So interesting. But I think that's important to note. This is in the style Jones, and this is a basic cap. So maybe if it was a mono top, it wouldn't look as rooted. I'm not sure. I actually really like the rooted look, and I actually really like this color. It is more of a subtle red, but I love the brown base with the copper highlights. It's not, for me, it's not quite as orangey looking as the other two. I think the other two are beautiful, but for me personally, they're a little orange on the orange side, whereas this one is not. It is really dimensional, beautiful color with that chestnut base. And I really like Copper Sunset. In fact, I think it's my favorite. It's a chestnut brown with vibrant copper red highlights. Now it does say it has a subtle auburn tipped ends. I don't really see any difference in the ends compared to the rest of it. So I'm not seeing a subtle auburn tipped end. To me, it just looks like a chestnut base with beautiful, vibrant copper highlights. Let's take a look at this one in the different lighting. Now, you will notice that Copper Sunset looks much browner in fluorescent light. Like, it doesn't look as coppery, which is typical. You're always going to see when you go into fluorescent lighting with no natural light, it's always going to look darker. So you still see some, but it's not nearly as dimensional in the fluorescent light. Let's take a look at this one in natural light outside. This, of course, is the best view of the color. It's really stunning. It's really dimensional. I feel like it has some subtle, it doesn't say it has any, but it feels like it has just a little bit of lighter and then a little bit like vibrant, but then just almost a little bit of blonde too. But that is not in the description. It's really, really pretty. Very warm, very pretty. And again, it really looks rooted to me. It's a pretty color. You know, a little more subtle than I normally wear, but I would definitely rock this color. I really, really like it. All right, so I always like to put all three outside next to each other. I think it's very clear and very obvious that Copper Sunset is completely different. It's much darker, that chestnut brown with the highlights. But I think where people can sometimes be a little confused is these two right here, which is the Golden Ginger and the Mandarin Rooted. They definitely have similarities. They're definitely in the same family, but if you really look carefully, you'll see that they are different. Again, with Copper Sunset, you have the longer root and you have more of the blonde highlights that are obviously blended throughout. The blonde highlights are very clear, whereas Mandarin Rooted has that shorter root and it doesn't have really blonde highlights. It just has that blend of strawberry blonde and, well, they say light auburn. I really think it's more copper. So they are different, but definitely related. And then this one over here is just completely different. So hopefully looking at them all three outside, side by side, is helpful. I hope you found this color spotlight helpful in your purchasing decisions. I hope it gave you some clarity on these three gorgeous reds from Estetica Designs. And as always, once again, please subscribe to my channel, hit that bell, give me a thumbs up, and I will see you at the next one.